Hey folks, good morning, good evening to all of you, wherever you are, whichever part of the world you are. I hope you're all doing good and safe. This is Ezhil Aparajit this side. I'm an artist from India. Uh, Professionally, I'm a corporate trainer. I teach technology to the corporates. But art has been my passion, I would say more than my passion, since my childhood. Uh, I've been dabbling with art ever since I was a kid, and so that has been my way of life, I would say. Yeah, and I also run a weekend art school, American School of Arts, since 2005, where I conduct exhibitions, workshops, and regular courses, online courses for all the kids and families. First, I would really like to thank Peggy and team for arranging this wonderful, awesome, amazing opportunity where she has brought almost hundreds, more than 100 artists all around the globe, but on a single unified platform. This is amazing. So I would really like to thank her for this wonderful opportunity that was given to me. I'm so excited about it. So to start with, so let's dive into this workshop. So what are we going to do? So this is what we will be doing for the session today. So let's start. Let's dive in. So this is going to be a subject, Peacock amidst florals. What I've given here is a very light pencil sketch of the face, the portrait of the peacock, with its focusing on the blue plumage. I've also added a light loose style florals at the bottom. So the idea here is to have a realistic peacock with a loose style florals. For this one, we'll be using various shades of blue. So that will be the predominant color in our palette. So the first one is the ultramarine blue. So for the darker, thicker tones. The second one I'm using is a phthalo blue, which is a green variety. And the last one is, I wanted to mix a little purple and violet shade. So I'm using quinacridone violet there. For all my colors, I'm using Daniel Smith and a mix of other brands also. I also want one more blue here, which is a very light turquoise version. So if you have some ready-made colors, you can use it. Else what you can do is, if you want to have that greenish blue shade, you can mix it with that lemon yellow. I already have some lemon yellow on my palette, so I'm mixing a lighter version there. Now I'm applying plain water on the neck of the peacock and also the face. So I'll be following the wet and wet technique here. You can apply the water on the entire surface, except for the white patch under the eye and above the eye. If you notice the peacock face, you could see this patch on both the sides of the eye. So just leave that. I want to preserve that white space. Except that you just apply water all over. So the water should be light. There should not be any puddle of water. Now for the very light tone. So I'm using that blue-green mix over here. Very lightly apply the first wash. So do the same thing for both the sides of the neck. And when it comes near the florals, you can just take some water and apply a very, very light wash there. Yeah, so you can lift it out if it's getting too dark, because I want to apply a different color for the flowers there. Continue the same thing onto the forehead of the peacock. Use your brush tip, so when it comes near the edges and also the beak. So let's go for the darker tone now. While the paper is still wet, apply that beautiful royal blue shade there. So it should spread and mix with the rest of the tone. So make sure you take care of the edges. The brush that I'm using currently is silver brush, size number 8. You can use any brush of your choice. So it should hold good enough water and pigment. Now if you notice the head, there are some texture. You can check the reference picture that I've provided. So the top head of the peacock has a lot of texture. So what I'm doing is I'm just dropping the darker shade onto the lighter shade. So make sure that your paper is still wet, not dripping wet, but it should be quite wet. And the paper that I'm using is 100% cotton, 300 GSM paper. I would strongly recommend this. You can use any brand that you want. So for the underside, I just changed into a size number 6 because I wanted to define more texture there and I wanted to have a good precision point. The color to this underside of this, somewhere near the jaw of the peacock. So this is more greenish blue. And this is one of the darkest area if you see the picture, the reference picture. So they have the darkest color here, the darkest greenish, a kind of blackish green color. So a little later I'll be using Payne's Gray, or you can add a indigo or some darker mixture of blue here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to connect all the blue streams together, so that goes something that goes near the beak from the eye. So with this you can define the plumage, so wherever the blue feathers are coming. So now you will have an idea. So I have this white patch on top and this thicker. I think the bottom patch is really thicker. And one more thing that I wanted to do here is all these blue that I have, the darker, lighter, so I want to sync them together. So I'm going to apply a very light and delicate wash. So for this I'm using a size 10 brush. You can use a bigger quill brush also. So very gently. So this is like in botanicals they say that this is like a tea wash or a lighter wash which can unite all of these different textures and other things together. So here now you can see that. So everything is become something like one with another. So gradually you can see the tone that gets separated. Now onto the crown, I'm just going to add a mix of light and dark blue here. So I'm taking that greenish blue shade. So very gently you give that feather-like texture. So I'm using the tip of the brush, so if you want you can lift it out also if you want a more lighter shade. And now I'm taking a little darker shade and gently I'm dropping at the lower side of that crown feather. So let it mix together, the darker and the lighter turquoise blue. Now for this crown stem, there should be a scientific word for that. The stem that connects this crown feather and also the beak. So both they have a similar tone. If you see, they have a very neutral, beautiful, brownish pink tone. And also I want to do some details to the white patch here. So the bottom white patch is really thick, so I want to reduce that size also. So coming to the lower segment, I want to add some texture to that. So if you check that one, I told you earlier, this is the darkest. The value is really dark in this particular part. So I'm mixing gray with that blue, that greenish blue. And with this I'm also defining that lower white patch. So I'm gently reducing that size. And now for the texture, what I'm trying to do here is I'm using the hatching pattern. So if you know this shading pattern, so I'm just using the hatching pattern, typically like the contour hatching. So I'm using that type of strokes here, but with the paint. So observe where your lighter blue is seen through and where there's darker patches. So observe. Observation is one of the key in these type of animal and botanical illustrations. The more you observe the subject, the better you get at it. So keep observing for the texture. So randomly, so use that hatching stroke. So here the technique is just almost like dry on dry. So I'm taking a very thick paint, not a wet paint, and use it on the dry surface. So any type of texture that you want, dry on dry is the best technique that you can adopt. So now drag your brush so that it connects with that peak and continue with the same texture near that blue patch that joins the peak. So here I've just given some random texture there, some dots, dashes, hatching. But just observe for the tonal variations, whether it's the dark tone or the mid tone. So these three tones, the dark, mid and the light. So that defines a form, so that makes any object from 2D. So it transforms a 2D simple object to a 3D form. So these three tones are very, very important. So identify in a subject, whichever is your reference picture or is it a real one. So identify that dark, mid, and the light tones. So here on the top of the head, it has a lot of bumps and texture. So the lighter blue literally glistens through that. So here what I'm using is like not a hatching one, but like a C type of stroke. So I'm just dabbing a lot of like CC strokes there. So literally, so yeah, that's how I see that texture as. Now coming to the neck of the peacock, where the body is starting. So this has a gorgeous blue color, absolutely stunning, amazing hue that I can see. This is one of the most beautiful bird. So the blue color is sufficient. You don't need any other color, just this blue and the various shades of blue is sufficient. So I'm trying to recreate this plumage, the feather. So it has a lot of variations in thickness, but what is very important for all of you to observe is the direction. So where exactly this direction is going. So I've sped up this process a little bit because it takes quite a bit of time. And my entire duration that I took for this peacock along with the florals, so it was around some 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, like so. You can just like, it's up to you. How do you want to do it in one single sitting or you want to take it easy? So I'm just doing the hatching pattern as you can see. So get any thin brush and do the hatching pattern. I'm correcting the edges on the top. I'm loading little dark color here now to define the outer edge. So if you see that picture, both the sides of the neck, it has a very darker color. So I'm trying to bring that one here. So the sides of the neck, I'm making it a little darker, little brighter blue. And I'm trying to change the direction of the feather. So observe the feather, the fur of the animal. So what is the thickness? So where it is, changing the direction. So how does it flow? All of these keep observing. And how the light gets reflected through all of these plumage, right? So each individual plumes and feathers, how does it get reflected? Continue adding all the other textures that you see. It's going to be the same thing. So I'm repeating the same pattern here. Okay, now I have cleaned one portion of my palette. So this is for the beak and also the stem, the crown stem. So both has a beautiful, a kind of a misty pinkish brown shade. So I'm trying to get that brown shade. So I'm using quin rose and also red. Quin rose and red, I'm mixing little tinge of Indian yellow there. I'm trying to get that, the brown rose type of shade there. So it's a very, very subtle shade. So here again, I'm continuing with the wet and wet. So I'm applying this one first to the peak. So the same color I'll be using on that crown stem also. So look at that color, it's a very gorgeous, that dusty pink shade. So here again, observe where the white is, so preserve that white, and all the rest you can give this shade of pink and brown. And you have to also define that nostril. So the nostril, you can just mix it with blue and give that one. So here use your tip of the brush, tiptoe the brush to draw those thin lines. You can take size 0 brush if you want. I'm just continuing with that same brush because silver brush, so this one it has a very, very fine point. So the one that I'm using is number 6, but still I'm able to get that fine point. So drag it from the bottom of the crown onto the top of the head of the peacock. Just vary the tones there. I'm also adding a very, very light feather. So if you observe very carefully, under that feather, under that blue crown feather, there's also like thin filament type of feathers, which is almost like a transparent type. So I'm just trying to add it. So you can see it in my picture, the completed picture. You can just zoom it and check it. So it's a very, very thin filament that I'm adding there. So this I'm trying to define the nostril. So that's quite dark. So define the nostril on all those lines. Okay, oh dear. I just noticed that my mobile automatically switched off for just 2 minutes while I was adding the eye. I've just added the base layer of the eye. When it got switched off, I just realized it now. Um, so I'll do a quick summary of what I have done. For the eye, I've just given the basic wash to darker. I've used this quin red and blue together to get that brown, and I've just given that first wash to the eye, and I've given the Payne's gray to the iris. This is what I've done. So you can see the two layer of eyelids with that brown. So I'm not done. I'm just like starting with the eyes. So when I just noticed, I'm really sorry about it. So this is quite important. So immediately you could see that there's a lot of transformation. So once we have added the eye, so it almost completes the painting. Any portrait that you draw, a human, a bird, or animal, eye is the most important feature that you have to always focus on. So this is something that I keep telling all my students. So I always reserve this eye for the end. Yeah, so till the end I keep postponing the eye. So once you add the eyes, it denotes that the painting is almost done. So some, they have a different style. They start with the eye and they go on with the other features. So for me, especially for bird or animal portrait, so the last one that I'll be doing is the eye. So I've added a 2 layer of the eyelid that you can see. So it's a very dark brown that I've added, almost mixed a lot of Payne's gray there. So I haven't used a pure black. I normally don't use it unless and until you really want it. So here it's either a darker gray shade or a darker brown shade. So please take care of the highlight. You can see that white highlight that I've left. So I'm not using any masking fluid or white marker or white paint here. I'm just using the paper white. So that is the best possible way that you can do, but it's up to you. So whichever you're comfortable with, you can use a masking fluid or white marker or paint. That's up to you. I'm adding a little bit more brown there. I'm going to make this the layer beneath the iris a little bit more browner, darker darker I should say, not brown. Okay, and maybe the iris also, I'm just trying to diffuse it, so I'm making it a little bit more bigger. So here I'm using this quin gold. That's quin gold, I think, red Aussie gold. Yeah, that's one of the beautiful Daniel Smith colors, Aussie red gold. So make sure you have 2 layers of eyelid. The outermost, it has more other texture. I'm using a size 1 brush here. So this is from Da Vinci. This is one of my favorite go-to brushes when you have to go for very, very fine, minute details like the eye. So I've made it a little darker. So just observe the picture. So wherever you have so even the smallest organ like the eye, it will have its own tones and texture. So check for the darkest one. The darkest usually will be the iris and also the eyelid, and then you will have a mid-tone, series of mid-tones, and also highlight for the eyes wherever the light is getting reflected. So observe that. You don't have to copy exactly whatever that is there in the photo, but yes, to some extent you can just capture those structure and form. So a little bit of texture onto that white patch under the eye. So add those extra details and texture, and maybe bring everything together with one small lighter wash. So I'm just connecting the darker blue with this one. So I'm just making all of these little feather and texture kind of united. So get everything in sync. Maybe if you want, you can have one more wash. If you feel that like it's, all these texture is so marked, it's so bright, it's standing out so loud, then maybe you can mellow it a little down with a light wash. So we are done with the peacock finally, and let's move on to the flowers. So for the florals, I want to have a complementary color of the peacock blue, the blue plumage that we have. So we can go in for the orange, yellowish, pink and orange. So all of these beautiful warm complementary to the cool blue. So this is absolutely your choice how you want to do it. I have just like laid down where the flower has to be and where the leaves are going to be, but I don't have any reference picture for that. This is just according to what I'm thinking right now currently. So whatever I know that I want to give it in that complementary color, that's it. So, and in whatever way I want to give the floral, so I'm just going to give it. So this one, I'm just going to give a 5-petal one. So this is what is coming to my mind right now. But if you want to explore more on roses or tulips or carnations and other type of florals that you have, so you can just please go ahead with that. But just you can just go in for some cool colors. But I would say for this one composition, so this type of warm with that cool will look really, really nice. So I'm just like loosely applying these yellow flowers there, 5 flowers. And in the center, maybe you can just apply a darker toned pink or orange or even purple. So just lightly drop the paint so that it spreads out nicely. Here, this one I'm doing it in wet on dry. So I have a fully loaded paint in my brush. So I just define that center. So this is what I'm just going to give it for all of the flowers. So I've just sped up that process for the other flowers. So continue this like where you want to give. So, but have an idea, fair idea of where the flowers are going to come, where the leaves. So what do you want to give? So it can be spontaneous also, absolutely fine. It's up to you. So look at that orange with that blue. So this combination is always something that's very, very striking. So I'll add a few flowers here and there. So what I want to do something different is the leaves. I don't want to give the regular leaves for this florals. So I'm just thinking of a different leaf pattern for this since this is coming next to the peacock. So continue this flower in different shades of hues of orange, yellow, pink, all of these beautiful colors. So add those little buds with those pinky peach, gorgeous colors wherever you want. And now coming to this leaves, yeah, I'm adding that ultramarine. So you would have seen in that final picture. So what I meant was this leaf. So I've turned this peacock feather into a leaf. I'm almost always fascinated by this peacock eye feather, the feather that you see in the tail of the peacock. So that's a beautiful culmination of hues of greens and gold, shimmering gold and glistening blue. So they are always it fascinates everyone. So it is, and it has a very perfect leaf shape. And this I didn't really think about it. It just came to me, the thought of adding the leaf as a peacock feather. So it just intuitively it just came to me. So I wanted to add it. I just wanted to try. So this is the first time I'm trying. So I think yeah, so it turned out, it just gelled with that composition quite well. So use the same thing. So I've used the darkest, the ultramarine blue for the middle, and to surround it with, I've used the tallow blue. You can use the turquoise blue also, just use a lighter shade. And then I'm using the Quinn gold, that Aussie gold. So you can use that any gold color or chrome yellow. So that color you can use it. So it has a mixture of dark blue and a lighter blue, and then a gold following, so followed by this green, the lighter and the darker shades of green. So if you have a real feather, you can check on that, or any other photo that you have, you can use that also. So I'm not going in for a very realistic version for this. I just wanted to have the shape of leaf, but the form that you see is a peacock feather there. So that's what I wanted to do. It should be like a leaf shape, but I'm getting the peacock feather here. So if the colors are mixing here and there, it's okay. So let it mix. You can always darken whatever that you want. So I'm adding that twin gold there. So add that lighter and darker tone here and there. So this is a shade of green. So this one is a slightly darker. So I've just like mixed that lemon yellow with blue here. Finally add that lightest green. So just take it into the shape of the leaf there. So here I felt the blue, both the dark and light blue has mixed. So I'm adding a little darker variation of the blue for the center. And now if you want, you can just like add some, those extra feathers and all if you want. So I've already marked those dark blue patches wherever I wanted to have these leaves. So you can have as many as you want, just strategically place it. So I've just sped up this process for the other leaves, or rather the peacock feather. So add those final little details, the finishing touch. So I'm adding little buds onto the other side of the peacock too. So with this we are almost done. Yeah. So we don't have any great background here, but still the tape and peeling of the tape is always a very satisfying experience. So that's a wrap, folks. So here we are done with the painting. I hope you all had a great session today. So having equal fun and learning along the way. Though I took almost around some more than like 1 hour, 30 minutes, 1.5 hours, more than that. Usually you take this type of botanical or realistic illustration I tried my level best to give it in this limited time. But if you would like to learn more on the same lines, botanicals or animal or birds or any other landscape or nature inspired type of subject, and whatever medium that if you would like to learn. So you can always definitely, so you can check out my Instagram, so I have posted, and also my website. You can check my art school website. You can just drop a mail or message at any point of time, so if you want to get in touch with me. So you can follow me on the Instagram and Facebook and other social media. I post regular video posts and other tutorials. But if you definitely want exhaustive one, you can definitely get in touch with me. And yeah, so I again thank Peggy and team for this wonderful summer retreat. I really enjoyed this retreat. So all of you, so have a great evening or have a great day. And yeah, happy painting, folks. Take care, all of you.